everyone, welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 213, Andrew Eisen here. Alright, Matthew says in the chat, I know why CD Projekt Red did it. Money. But given the delay is due to the PS4 Xbox One versions not running well, but Xbox Series X, PS5, PC being good to go, wish they would release those versions, but I'm selfish and have a PC. Darn you, old gen. Oh, okay, so... Uh, yeah, CD Projekt Red, who lied about not crunching, decided to crunch its developers so that it could make a deadline that itself had set because it's publishing its own product. Delayed their game a bit. But they didn't tell most of their employees until, well, they didn't tell most of their employees. Most of the employees found out by reading it in the news. It's like, oh. So just because the game's been delayed doesn't mean they're not still crunching, but, yeah. Anyway, I forget how, it seems to me it's not being delayed very long. I think it's still coming out this year, but, yeah. But hey, let's, hello Lindy, happy Halloween to you too. But let me talk about a different delay, because that's on my topic list, and I was going to talk about it a little bit later in the show, but we'll talk about it now, because we're on this subject. Hey! You remember Destruction AllStars? No? Haven't even heard of it? Don't know what the hell it is? Yeah, that's not too surprising. Destruction AllStars is one of the ridiculously few games that you need to actually buy a next generation console to play. To play this year. So next week, about a week or so, the Xbox week after next, the Xbox Series X and S and the PS5 come out, and the new Xbox, there are precisely 0 games coming out before the end of the year that you actually need an Xbox Series X or S to play. And there were, by my count, at least 3 games for the PS5. One is that Astro Room whatever pack-in, so kind of like, you know, Wii Sports or Nintendo Land. It's kind of a demo thing. It's been getting good reviews, though. People seem to really like it, but they said the same thing about Nintendo Land, so I imagine it's going to be one of those, hey, for a pack-in demo all the controller stuff, this is pretty cool. I'm glad I played it for an hour, and now I'll never play it again. So there's that. Can't get that anywhere else. Need the PS5 for that. There's Demon Souls remake, which is a remake, but it sure is pretty. And then there was Destruction AllStars, which PS5 Sony didn't really show off much of it. Hard to get a grasp of what the game even is. It looks like a vehicular combat game, like sports-wise, so maybe kind of like Rocket League, except it appears you can get out of your car and run around the arena, and I don't know why you'd want to do that, because the advertising is not clear at all, and didn't show any actual real gameplay. And we all remember from Star Fox Command, Star Fox Assault, one of the ones, people really like vehicle combat games where you get out of the vehicle. That's always fun. But anyway, Destruction AllStars was one of those games that... one of the very, very, very ridiculously very few games that you actually need to invest hundreds and hundreds of dollars in a next generation console to actually play. The rest of the games coming out between now and the end of the year, you do not need a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or an Xbox Series S to actually play them. You can play them somewhere else. Will they run better, faster, stronger, load quicker on the next gen systems? Probably, yeah. But you still don't need to drop $500 on them. Oh, there will be games next year. Sometime. We hope. Although, whatever studio it is that's working on Halo Infinite keeps bleeding talent, so who knows what the hell's going on there. Doop, doop, doop. Matthew has no faith that Cyberpunk will run well on the old systems. We'll see. But I mean, you're playing it on the PC, so. So anyway, Destruction AllStars is has been delayed. Oh, but but surely someone was looking forward to Destruction AllStars, right? That game you weren't advertising and no one has heard of it or knows what the hell it is because you didn't actually show what it was, right? It's been delayed. Let's read the press release, or rather what's on the Sony blog. Boy, I'm prickly about this one, aren't I? Says Director of Product Development Pete Smith. Hi, Pete. Hi, everyone. Hi, Pete. We wanted to share a quick update on our plans for Destruction All-Stars. We've decided to move the game's release from November 2020 to February 2021, where it will be included for 2 months in PlayStation Plus at no additional cost. Now, I don't work for Sony or any of Sony's studios. I have no inside information on this, but this sounds to me like Sony has absolutely no faith in Destruction All-Stars. They took the game out of launch lineup status and threw it in and dumped it in February as a PlayStation Plus game. The statement goes on, Destruction All-Stars is a multiplayer game that's at its best when you're competing with gamers online from around the world. We want as many people as possible to experience the mayhem on PS5, and what better way to do that than to provide the game to our PlayStation Plus members? My read on that is, we don't think anyone was actually going to buy this except Tom over there, and Tom would be very lonely, and we feel bad for Tom. So the only way Tom is going to get to play with anybody is if we may just make this a free release for our PlayStation Plus subscribers. Because otherwise poor Tom's going to be playing by himself. We love Tom, though. It goes on, next week we'll return with a brand new trailer and more details on the game. That should actually read details on the game. So you'll know exactly what to expect when you download it in February. Maybe if you had done that a couple of months ago, there would be interest in the game. I mean, maybe it's good. Who knows? You haven't showed anything. No one knows what it is. It goes on. This may be disappointing news for some of you who are looking to play the game at launch, Tom, but we hope you understand the decision. We do. We do. For those of you who have already pre-ordered the game, Tom, be it PlayStation Store or PlayStation.com or at retail, your purchase will be refunded. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing the arena in February. So, again, I have no inside information on this, but what this sounds like is they realize this game is absolute garbage. So garbage that they feel bad charging money for it. And they're like, oh, what? Wait, people paid money for this via pre-orders? Give them their money back. No. We'll do loot boxes and microtransactions and all kinds of exploitative nonsense, but selling Destruction All-Stars for money, that's a step too far. We couldn't do that. Hello, official MX. Not just MX, but the official one. Where was I? Makes me wonder, how many pre-orders are you having to refund there, Sony? Is it 0? I'll bet it's 0. So, yeah, this sounds like a game that is so bad they were embarrassed to have it as part of their launch lineup, so they dumped it as a PlayStation Plus game in February. That tells me they have no faith in this game, whatever it is. Now, is that lack of faith justified? Who the hell knows? Because again, they haven't shown us what the game is. And maybe that's a good thing. I mean, I hope it's good. It's it appears to have a cute, colorful art style and a easygoing, cartoony aesthetic. Whatever it is, but I just found that really funny. We've only got 3 games, 3 exclusive PS5 games coming out from now to the end of the year. 3. One's a remake of an old game. Very pretty and a good game, but still a remake of an old game. One is a tech demo pack-in. Oh boy, gotta be careful with the finger. The other one, we're gonna refund everyone's pre-order, so we're gonna dump it in February as a PlayStation Plus freebie. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Well, sometimes games don't turn out as you would hope. But hey, maybe it'll be good. Okay. So, Extra Life. The Extra Life Charity Marathon to raise money for Rady Children's Hospital is next weekend. So starting at noon Pacific Standard Time next Saturday, November 7th, I'll be playing video games for 24 hours to raise money for Rady Children's Hospital here in San Diego. And lovely folk like you can make donations and help sick kids. Tax deductible, all the monies go to Rady Children's, and we get to play games for a solid day, so it's great. As such, there will be no podcast next week. There will be no Sunday stream because I'll be streaming video games from noon on Saturday to noon on Sunday. I'll be playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I'll also be playing, like we did last year, I'll be playing Super Mario Maker 2, and everyone who donates $10 can submit a level for me to play. That was a ton of fun last year. Looking forward to doing that again this year. They added the ability to make super worlds, so entire Mario games essentially in Super Mario Maker 2. So if you have a world you're particularly proud of, or one you know of that you'd like me to play, donate $50 and I'll spend at least an hour on it. So there's that. Depending on how much money we raise, we'll also be playing Ring Fit Adventure, which will help keep me awake. More money we raise, the more weight we'll strap on. So weight vest, ankle weights, wrist weights. I pointed to my wrist when I said ankle weights, but that's okay. The adults only midnight after dark game is House of the Dead Overkill. So on the Wii, so we'll play a little. I think that's $600, $700, $800, somewhere around there. So that'll be fun. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. So if you are in a position that allows you to spare the dough to donate, please do. And if not, that's okay. Hang out over the weekend. Say hi in the chat. It's a fun time. Oh, also holding a raffle. So Lindy, who's in the chat here, hi Lindy, is an artist, and we're raffling off one of her commissions. So if you win the raffle, let me set this up a little bit better. Everyone who donates $50 is automatically entered in the raffle. Every $10 you donate above that gives you an additional entry. At the end of the marathon, I'll draw a name, and that person can commission Lindy to draw a personalized digital illustration of a fantasy character of their choice. Could be a video game character like Samus Aran from Metroid, or Link from Legend of Zelda, could be characters from anime, or she's drawn some Evangelion characters. We'll set you up. So it's going to be really cool. Beast says, "I have faith you will beat Breath of the Wild." Yeah. So Nintendo did another surprise direct this week and said, "Hey, um, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which comes out November 20th, free demo. Wee! All right. Now, if you saw my video yesterday, yeah, I think it was yesterday." And Lindy says, "Make me draw Link in a belly dancing outfit." He has that the Gerudo Valley outfit with the veil, uh, so that would be a good one. Let's see. Make her draw me. I'm someone's fantasy, surely. I mean, there's a lot of people in the world. Surely someone's. Anyway, so thank you, Lindy, for donating your talents as a raffle prize. Much obliged. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so one of the reasons I'm playing Breath of the Wild is I'm a fan of Hyrule Warriors. I like the first game. I'm make me draw Andrew in a belly dancing outfit. There you go. Um, you've already got the makeup reference, so I'm a fan of Hyrule Warriors. Liked the game. Looking forward to Age of Calamity. But then I heard that Age of Calamity was a prequel to Breath of the Wild and covers the backstory of the events described in the game. And I thought to myself, you haven't beaten Breath of the Wild, you should probably do that. If only for the added context it would give you for the story presented in Age of Calamity. Almost said Age of Gamelon for some reason. So that's one of the reasons why I'm... so we're going to start with where I left off in Breath of the Wild, which according to my save game was 2 years ago. I still have... So I'm not going to collect all the Koroks. There's still like 700 of them. I can't do that. But I'd like to find or free, activate, whatever you do with the Divine Beasts. I've got one. I got 3 more to go. I have 4 more memories to find. And so... 3 Divine Beasts, 4 memories, defeat Ganon, boom. That's the goal for the end of the marathon. So I played the Age of Calamity demo today, and it looks to be a fun another Hyrule Warriors game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it dropping in price because I'm not paying $60 for it. But when the game was first announced, I had mentioned on a podcast I was a little concerned with the narrative of the story, because we know what happens. It's called the Age of Calamity. It is calamitous. Everyone dies. Hyrule is razed to the ground. Link is in a coma. What's her face? Zelda is in suspended anime. I'm not even sure what happened to her, but things don't end well. The good guys lose. At best, you could call it a stalemate, a to be continued. You could call it like an end of Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, most of our heroes are alive at least, but Han is frozen in kryptonite, and they're on the back foot, and the bad guys are kind of winning here, and oh man, this is an underdog story. We're heading into the ninth, way down. Lots of metaphor mixing here. So, being that we know how the story ends, I was concerned that it would lose a lot of... They have to be very careful with the narrative because there's no tension. It's like, oh my gosh, are they going to do it? No, they're not. We know this because we've played Breath of the Wild. They lose. Badly. Everybody dies, pretty much. So I played the demo for Age of Calamity, and looks like that's really not going to be a problem because they're doing the whole alternate timeline thing. It looks like a little, the little R2D2 Guardian thing. It goes back in time to try and rewrite the events of the Age of Calamity. So we're basically doing an Avengers Endgame here, going back in time and changing the past to fix the future. We're going to get it right this time. So, okay. I'm I'm fine with that. I I don't know how canon that is. Like, does that erase Breath of the Wild? Does that never happen now? Do I care? Not really. They could do anything they want, but I'm like, okay, that's one way to do the story and allow there to be some tension because it's like, okay, this is a do-over. It's a different timeline. We've gone back in the past to do things different. We could actually win this time, or is losing inevitable? Either way, we will get to beat the snot out of thousands and thousands of moblins and Lizalfos and Octoroks and other Zelda enemy names that you know and love. The game has a serious pop-up problem. Not surprising, the Switch is not the beefiest boy in the bunch. Um, but other than that, it looks okay. It mostly controls well, except for aiming. Link has he has bow and arrow, of course, that you can just rapid fire. You hold the button and he goes whoop, and then you point around and then let go, and he goes thump 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 thump. Um, the controls there are absolute garbage. I hope that's fixed because it's like you're fighting with the controller to get the cursor to point where you want it. Usually there's a giant mob of something in front of you, so just, you know, spray and pray, I mean, you're going to hit something. There's 1,000 things in front of you. You're going to hit something. It's not that big a deal. But if there's like an explosive red barrel somewhere, it can be a fight to actually hit that darn thing. Um, I It uses gyro assist for the aiming, so maybe turning that off would help. I don't know. But other than that, it plays well. The various moves, you get to play Link, Zelda, and Impa, and their moves are very unique to each character and very, very fun, very creative. Um, the presentation and production value is very nice. A little weak technically, but I mean, Switch. What do you expect? Um, the voice acting is terrible. Um, I don't like saying that because it's kind of rude to the actors who I'm sure tried very hard. But the voice acting, what little I've heard so far, ranges from just bad, and I listened to it in English. I didn't listen to it in Japanese. So this is only my critique of the English voiceover. But the voice acting ranges from just bad to miscast. Um, I don't know what the heck the production was thinking with Impa's voice, but that's, in my very, very humble but inerrant opinion, not the correct voice for Impa. Your mileage may vary. Link's fine. No problems with Link's vocalizations. There's some other cute touches, like if you go out of your way and you can find Koroks in the field, so that's kind of cute. Um, the main menu is just the map of Hyrule, where you select different locations to select different challenges and levels. Um, Different locations, however, are like little side quests, but so far all of them are just when you defeat enemies in the field, they'll drop items that you pick up, you know, goblin guts and bat wings and Lizalfoss tails and stuff like that. And all of the little side quests are, do you have 5 of these, 10 of these, and 15 of these? If you do, you pass the quest. If you don't, well, keep fighting until you do. So, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'd like maybe a little bit more than just. I mean, it's basically what they do is they award you new hearts and new moves and things like that, which is great. But essentially, what it is you're buying new moves and new hearts with crap you collect in the field. But this does contextualize that in a way that makes it more interesting. I just wish there was a little bit more gameplay there. But Warriors games, especially Hyrule Warriors, are known for being chock full of gameplay anyway, so compared to the full breadth of the game, likely not going to be an issue. I do worry that the map is just going to become a cumbersome mess, but we'll have to see. The main gameplay of wandering around and beating up hordes of bad guys is solid and creative and flashy visually and just genuinely a lot of fun. So, um, yeah, looking forward to that game when it's cheaper, because I'm cheap. So let me reorganize my list here because I'm doing stuff out of order. Doop doop doo. Let's put that there. Okay. So today is Halloween, which we'll celebrate tomorrow because reasons. So tomorrow during the Sunday stream, I'm going to play a special Halloween game. Or a game that could be reasonably construed as a we're celebrating Halloween. That's the reason we're playing this game, even though it's a day late, because today's Halloween and tomorrow is November 1st. So, tomorrow, noon Pacific Standard Time, we will play a few hours of drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Vampire, The Masquerade, Bloodlines. A cumbersome title, but I hear the game's good. It's got vampires in it. Now, let me, if I may, and it's my podcast, so I will, use this as an opportunity to once again complain about PC gaming. I hate PC gaming compared to. I don't hate PC games. I like games. Don't really care what platform they're on. Um, I don't like PC gaming as compared to console gaming. Because here's what I do when I want to play a video game on my console. I take the video game, I plug it into the console, I turn it on, I start playing. Sometimes these days, I may have skipped a step. For example, a couple months ago I played Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Hey, I did a new game fuss for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's on my YouTube channel. You should watch all 30 minutes of it. Um, the procedure there was to take the disc out of the case, stick it in my PS4, wait 5 hours for it to install off the damn disc. Well, okay, 3.5 hours or whatever it was to install off the disc, then pick up the controller and start playing. Now, My dear, dear friends who are dear, let me regale you with the story of playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I bought the game at some point, so we can leave that one out. That doesn't matter. I downloaded the game from the digital service that I had bought it from. That took a little while. Sometimes I have to deal with that crap on console, even if I physically own the damn disc, because it installs off the disc, like we did with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, so we can call that one a wash, too. Okay. The game is downloaded, it's installed, I doubly click on it, and it opens up in 640 by 480. Which is I mean, the game's 16 years old, but Jesus. So, and it didn't open windowed either. It full screened that shit at like 640, 480. I'm like, oh God, my eyes. Where are the options? So I go into options and I find for some reason it defaults to the lowest damn resolution. So I'm like, okay, scroll down to whatever the resolution is. Okay, change it. And it says you have to restart the entire damn game to get the resolution. It's like, really? You you can't just change the resolution? No, I have to exit and relaunch the game? Okay, so ado. And it's much, much nicer and, 1600, whatever the hell it is. Um, so I turn the game on just to make sure it starts and it runs, and I can use the controller. And I can't. No. You can't even use the arrow keys to move the cursor on the menu. I'm like, oh, this isn't at all set up for a controller. At all. Oh, I'm going to have to configure, I'm going to have to rebind the mouse and the keyboard to the controller keys. That's a pain in the ass. So I pull up the instruction manual and I look at what all the controls are. And here's one of the things I hate about PC gaming. Uh, this is meant for typing. It was never intended for gaming. Now you can use it for that in the same way you can use a rock as a hammer. I mean, you can. It works. But a hammer would just be better. You know? And for games like what we played last week, Minute, which is the arrow keys and one button. So arrow keys and space bar. Movement keys and one interaction button. That's no problem. But with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, title just rolls off the tongue, don't it? It's like someone filled a tumbler with all the controls. Here's the jump, here's the attack, here's the shooty, here's the holster, here's the inventory, here's the pause button, and they shook it up, and they chugged it back, and then they barfed it all over the keyboard. Would you excuse me for just one moment? So, I made a reference for all the keyboard bindings. So, let's see. Movement, naturally, is WASD. That's typical. So we've got so it uses the the left and right click on the mouse, which is convenient. So that's nice. Those are attack and your discipline, which I'm guessing is magical vampire powers. Okay, sure. But then there's feed, which is the F key, and then there's inventory, which is the I key. And then there's H, which is holster your weapon, R for reload, left control for sneaking, Z is toggling in and out of first person, so first person to third person. E is to interact with stuff. I mean, it's just... Oh my god. I mean, you can figure it out. You can get used to it, but oh my god, it sucks. So, so I bound all that crap to the buttons on a controller, and in a way that I hope is a bit more natural feeling, because otherwise I'd be... Anytime I wanted to do something more than vampire discipline and attack, I'd be going like, because because when I'm typing, my middle finger's on the D key, but when I'm wasitting, my middle finger's on the S key. So if I think, oh, it's F, I do that, and then I end up hitting D. You know, because my hand is shifted one key to the left, so none of the keys are where I think they are, because I'm not in the typical home position. Now, granted, the more you play PC games, the more that you get better at doing that, but... But my favorite is there are dialogue options in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. And sometimes a vampire will ask you something, and you will get a series of choices in this keyboard and mouse driven game. How do you imagine you would select choice 2? It's a keyboard and mouse driven PC game, and you want to select the second of 4 dialogue options, because you don't want to make that vampire mad, because that would be not nice. How do you imagine, in a list of 4 items you would select on a PC controlled by keyboard and mouse, the second item in the list? Do you imagine you might use the mouse to move the cursor over to hover over the option you want and then click the button? That would be intuitive. That would be wrong. Huh. But I could select options with the cursor and the clicky bit on the mouse in the menu. Yes, but you can't do that in the dialogue trees when playing the game. Oh. Okay. Huh. Okay, well, I imagine I could use the arrow keys or something or maybe even the scroll wheel, to move a highlight up and down the list and then hit enter on the one I want, right? That would also make some slightly more cumbersome, but would make some sense. Yes, that's not how it works. Oh. Huh. Okay, well, I have a list of items 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want to select 2. Oh. Oh. Do I hit the number 2 on the keyboard? Yep. That's how you do it. You have 4 options and you hit the corresponding number on the keyboard. Go ahead. Give it a try. Okay. 2. 2. 2. 1, 3, 4? Any of them? It's not working. What? Oh. Oh, don't tell me. 2. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Imagine you're working for whatever company made Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines back in 2004. You know, it's 2002, 2003, you're making the game. And you're thinking, okay, how do we want to allow the user to select the dialogue option, the response? Do we want them to use the mouse, which we're using to control the game, to click on the response we want? No, that's too easy. Do we want them to be able to move a highlight up and down the list and then select it? No, 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 no. Okay. How about we just, the number of the response they want is the number they press on the keyboard. Okay, good, but not the number pad. They have to actually use the number keys above the alpha keyboard, which they're going to have to look at the keyboard and check because their hand is shifted one to the left, so you're not going to get the right ones unless you're really used to doing that. Now imagine that somebody actually conceived of that, and then somebody else approved it, and then someone implemented it, and then someone played it and tested it and approved it, and it made final approval, and that's what's in the game. It's kind of stunning to me, actually. So I mapped the 1, 2, 3, 4 keys to the D-pad. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I kind of had to make a cheat sheet for me up here, because. But I hear the game is good. Stupid controls be damned. I hear the game's still pretty good. And we will find out tomorrow at noon Pacific Standard Time in a late celebration of Halloween. I do so hope you'll join me. Hopefully I've got my I don't like the crap I have to go through to play PC. Because seriously, I spent an hour and a half dicking around with my PC just so that I could play a game. No one should have to do that. You should not have to do key binding configurations or tweaking driver settings or all this weird crap. I just want to play a video game. Imagine if you had to give your car a tune-up before every trip. Before you could drive your car, you had to pop the hood and fuss with the engine for an hour, hour and a half every single time you wanted to drive somewhere new. That would suck. But still, I hear Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is a very good game with incredible writing. Which I would not have guessed from the awkward title, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. The game has incredible writing. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines has incredible writing. The game with the title Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines has great writing. I would never have guessed. But we shall see. Genuinely, I am looking forward to playing this because I've heard so much about it over the last 15 some years, and I've never played it. Hey, Halloween, good a time as any. So 22221348882. That was me tapping on the keyboard. Ah, the real Bucky. We've been looking for you because we've had some imposters in the chat. Glad to see we've got the real one. Bucky says, will Nintendo ever come around to an N64 classic? Yeah, probably. Or should it be featured on the Switch's successor in the way NES and SNES games are on Switch? You mean like the virtual console thing that only Nintendo Online subscribers can access. I don't know why you would need a successor to the Switch to do that. You could just do that now, but yeah, I imagine eventually they'll do some type of N64 classic, whether it's a a mini like they did with the NES or the SNES, or a virtual console, because there are some great games. They might. Let me see. It was 96. So maybe in 2026 for the 30-year anniversary, that seems like a good time. Release a mini console that has Super Mario 64 on it and Pilot Wing 64 and most of the other big games on the N64 that the N64 is really, really known for are third-party games. So that might be kind of a difficult one because there's a lot of rare games. Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. There's rare stuff like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Blast Corps, uh, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo-Kazooie 1 and 2. Man, Rare was just knocking them out of the park back in those days. Um, you had Acclaim isn't even around anymore, but you had Turok. Um, lot of great games, but not all owned by Nintendo. So it'd be interesting. Don't know. Foggy says, "Do you think they'll release Super Mario Galaxy 2 for Mario's 40th anniversary?" Because yeah, they certainly didn't do it for. I talked about this on an earlier podcast. That is a conspicuous absence. Um, it feels like a middle finger from Nintendo. I mean, it feels like because it I don't know, the whole Super Mario 3D AllStars, or whatever the branding is, feels like Nintendo half-assing it. Because the original AllStars was, we're going to take these old games and give them a new coat of paint, and here they are. Isn't that awesome? And now it's just, nah, here's the old games. We made one of them widescreen, the other we didn't. Oh, and we didn't even bother with Galaxy 2, even though that kind of defeats the pattern established by the first collection. So, it to me it doesn't even feel like it's living up to its branding. Hmm. But it also feels like something like, especially since they were doing the thing like, it's only available until March 31st. March 31st. What happens on March 31st? Well, that's the end of our fiscal year. So after that, we're going to bust that sucker apart and sell them for $40 a pop. And Mario Galaxy 2, we're just going to sell. We're just going to re-release and sell for 60. That's no guarantee that's what happens, but that's what it feels like they're heading towards. Let's see. Bucky says, speaking of Rare and Conquer, what if they pull a Star Fox 2 and make a new deal with Microsoft to put Rare's games on there and even throw in 12 Tales, Conquer 64, and Dinosaur Planet? Um, well, the thing is, my understanding is Star Fox 2 was actually done, it just wasn't released. Um, 12 Tales and Dinosaur Planet were never completed, as far as I know. Um, I mean, there may be enough there to actually release a version of it. Kind of like what Sega did a week or two ago with an old 3D Golden Axe game that they had. Um, that was more of a proof of concept that was put together in a few weeks. So, all right, last topic I have. The Mandalorian season 2 started yesterday, day before. I think it was yesterday. And I watched the first episode because that's the only episode currently available. And the Mandalorian, who has a name, but everyone calls Mando, which I when season one first started, I thought that was a slur, but everyone calls him that like it's his name, and it does not work for me. Oh well. Um, so the Mandalorian is saying Baby Yoda is super cute, but Baby Yoda should be with the other Yodas. But I don't know where the other Yodas are. And it's still weird to me that nobody recognizes Yoda's race. Because, I mean, even if Yoda's particular species was particularly rare, he was like the most famous Jedi who were like a big deal like 40 years ago. And he wasn't the only one of his kind. There was another Yoda there, Yertle or something like that, whatever her name was. So there's at least two of them. It's just really hard to believe that everyone knows everything and speaks bunches of languages, but no one's ever heard of the species of the most famous Jedi ever. And it's not like we're talking about a character from the old Republic or something 1,000 years ago. No, this was like literally 40 years ago. A bunch of people still alive when this happened. It Yaddle, thank you. Um, so that's weird. But anyway, Mandalorian is taken Baby Yoda back to his kind, but he doesn't know what his kind is or where they can be found. So he thinks, if I can find another Mandalorian, surely they'd know where. I don't know why he thinks that at all. I don't know why he thinks, well, surely the Mandalorians know where the Yodas are. If that's explained, I missed it. But he doesn't know where the Mandalorians are. So he goes somewhere and talks to John Leguizamo, and he says, John, uh, Baby Yoda, super cute, but should be with the other Yodas. So I'm looking for some other Mandalorians. Can you tell me where the other Mandalorians are? And John Leguizamo says, yeah, there's one on Tatooine. And I went, oh no, no, no. A Mandalorian on Tatooine? Is it the one in the Sarlacc pit? Don't do that. That's stupid. The galaxy of Star Wars is so unbelievably tiny as it is. Don't do that. There's no need to do that. And if you do that, I will be very impressed if it's not phenomenally stupid. Well, they don't quite do that. They go to Tatooine because apparently it's the only planet the showrunners have ever heard of, and they keep throwing. They're Womp Rat, Womp Rat, Womp Rat. Womp Rat is a Star Wars word that you've heard of, right? Please love us. It's like, oh my God, it's Star Wars. We had to buy a subscription to Disney Plus to watch it. We're already here. You already got us. You don't have to keep doing that. Stop it. So Mandalorian goes to a town where he gets a lead of some sort. So he goes to a town, and in walks a guy wearing Boba Fett's armor. It's clearly not Boba Fett. Armor doesn't even fit him. But he's got Boba Fett's armor. Mandalorian says, "Give that to me." It is the way. Why? No, seriously, why? Is that a new thing, or did I miss it? Why? So if a non-Mandalorian is wearing Mandalorian armor, a Mandalorian gets to take it away from them? That's a thing? Boy, the Mandalorians must have hated Jango Fett, because he was constantly with his helmet off. He was no Mandalorian. I don't know about Boba. Did did he find the Mandalorian way at some point? I don't know. So he says, "Yeah, I bought this armor off of some Jawas." Okay, I, I guess Sarlacc's poop, but I thought they took like 1,000 years to digest stuff, and even if they did poop, you'd think that would be like way the hell under the ground. So how did the Jawas get it? Did did Boba climb out and then sell his armor to the Jawas in shame? Because I don't know. Who cares? Bucky says, if they can't even take off their own armor, you can imagine they wouldn't take kindly to a non-Mandalorian wearing it, especially in a downtrodden manner as the Marshal. Yeah, yeah, I imagine it is. They seem to take this stuff seriously, but so it probably would be kind of insulting, but it didn't come across as, "You son of a gun, that's really rude. I will not stand." No, that it sounded like Mandalorian bylaw number 67.5. Any non-Mandalorian wearing Mandalorian armor has to give up their Mandalorian armor. It's like, I don't know, he bought it fair and square. And then the guy wearing the Mandalorian armor says, "Tell you what, there's a crate dragon terrorizing the town and eating our banthas. If you help me take it down, I will give you the Boba Fett armor." And the Mandalorian agrees. Why? Just shoot him. I mean, you were willing to do that like 2 minutes ago, but then a crate dragon just stormed through the town like a graboid and ate a bantha. And it's like, oh, maybe he's softening up. I don't know. It didn't really work for me. He's like, "I'll tell you what, Mandalorian, if you help us with something that's not your problem, I'll give you the stuff you want." What are you even going to do with it? Why do you want it? Who cares? I mean, it's like, okay, well, you're not a Mandalorian. You don't know where the Yodas are. He doesn't even ask him, I don't think. And so you think he'd just leave. I'm glad he doesn't, because we have a fight against a crate dragon, which is fun. I thought it was. At first, I was thinking, is it a Sarlacc? Is it a particularly a Sarlacc that, like, someone, like there was a skiff of sugar scooting across the Dune Sea and crashed and dumped its entire sugar down the Sarlacc's gullet, and it's like, oh my god, it's wired, and it's just no, it's a crate dragon, which I didn't realize burrowed through the ground like sandworms, like graboids. I Apparently they do. Okay, sure. Um, so they recruit the people in the town and the some Tusken Raiders to all go beat up the crate dragon. So the crate dragon. So they go to this giant cave, which is a weird thing for something that lives primarily under the ground to need, but whatever. And it's also said that The Krayt Dragon has made its nest in an empty Sarlacc pit, implying that it ate the Sarlacc. So, the Krayt Dragon lives in a pit in a cave? So, there was a Sarlacc pit in a cave? That that seems like a really bad location for a Sarlacc to set up shop, because it seems to require something just wandering into its gullet. And the odds that something are going to wander into a cave are a little bit less. Maybe it was a really stupid Sarlacc and it died of starvation. I don't think the Krayt Dragon ate it. I think it was just a really dumb Sarlacc that died of starvation and it took over. But again, I don't know why this underground monster lives in a pit which is in a cave. That... Okay. Freekill says, I think in some comic or novel, Boba did crawl out of the Sarlacc, then got killed and fell into the Sarlacc again. I know he does come out. Here's the thing about Boba Fett. He looks cool. That's it. His ship, it's a cool design. That's it. The armor is cool, and the ship is cool, and there is literally nothing else there except the whole implied badassery of Vader walking up and sticking his finger in his face and no disintegrations. It's like, fine. It's like, oh, shit. This guy disintegrates people. That's pretty badass. But that's literally it. Which is why you ignore Boba Fett the character, because there's no character there, it's just cool looking armor, and you make a show like The Mandalorian about a character who's actually a character, but he's wearing the Boba Fett armor, so he looks exactly the same, and it's essentially the Boba Fett show. You're already doing it. You don't need Boba Fett in the Boba Fett show. So, Krayt Dragons are very... Bucky says, I dare you to walk up to a Boba Fett cosplayer and tell them that. I wouldn't do that because that's rude. There's no reason to do that other than to be antagonistic, but I would certainly walk up to a Boba Fett cosplayer and say, you look badass. Because that's what cosplaying is about. It's more the aesthetics and look than it is the actual character of the character. Cosplay is, for the most part, looking and feeling badass and posing. So it's about the iconography and the aesthetics rather than the actual character of the character. Now, sometimes cosplayers will put on skits and shows and stuff like that, and that gets into the actual character. But it's more about the aesthetics, the look, and the look is cool. But yeah, I'm not going to walk up to someone, hey, the character that you put a lot of time and effort into designing a costume to look like, he's actually a dumb character. That's just an asshole thing to do. Kind of deserve to get punched for that, so I wouldn't do that. But, and I like Boba Fett. I think he's cool. But there's no character there. So, I don't... It's like any of the background monsters you see in the cantina scene in Star Wars. They're cool, but I don't need you to crowbar them into anything because they're not characters. They're just neat-looking monsters. I mean, go ahead and make a character out of them if you want. Please do. But you can't just stop plopping the same thing everywhere. It's like, oh, you love us now because of this thing. Anyway, so crate dragons are have very tough hides. So their big plan is they have a lot of really large pipe bombs for some reason. I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens of these explosive canisters. I mean, they load up like several banthas worth of explosive canisters. So here's their plan. Now, my thought is, well, that's a pretty good plan. You strap explosives to a bantha, because what they'd been doing is they'd been leading banthas out to the crate dragon cave. They're like, dinner! And the crate dragon comes out and eats the bantha and goes away, and that keeps it out of the town for the most part. I'm like, oh, okay, so strap explosive. Poor banthas. So strap explosives to the banthas, put them in front of the crate dragon. Dragon eats them and explode it from the inside. I don't know why we need, 6 dozen people, the entire town and the Tusken Raiders to do this. But, oh, because we're not doing that, the plan is to bury the explosives in front of the cave and then get the dragon to come out and hopefully come out of the ground where it spends all its time and lay on top of the explosives because its belly is a soft spot. And then once you position it over the explosives, which you've buried in the ground, then you're going to detonate them. That's a stupid plan. Just just strap him to a bantha and have it eat the bantha, which it was already doing anyway, which you strapped explosives to a bantha and then you unstrapped them from the bantha and buried the... Oh my god, this is never going to work, you fools! I mean, it's still a fun scene with a giant monster that has a penchant for barfing on people, which is pretty amazing. I love that. Krayt Dragon rears up and just spits digestive juices all over the place. It's pretty great. Well, they do manage to actually get the Krayt Dragon over the buried explosives, and they explode it, and it doesn't work. And then the Mandalorian is like, oh. And he spots a bantha, loaded up with explosives. Well, I'm glad they were planning ahead and didn't shoot their entire wad. They had a backup bantha. They had more explosives if the first round didn't work. I I don't know what they were planning to do. Like maybe thought the dragon would go back in the cave and they just reset the entire trap. Okay. I mean that they do say, and it does seem like we're only going to get one shot at this. May as well use all the explosives, but they don't. They've still got dozens upon dozens upon dozens of explosives strapped to another bantha. So Mandalorian looks at the bantha and goes, I've got an idea. We'll have the Krayt Dragon eat the explosive bantha and then blow it up from the inside. Think of that all by yourself, Mandalorian? Good plan. It works. Yeah. It's kind of surprising that of the 50 people you have there, not a single person was thinking, hey, why don't we just feed the explosive bantha to the Krayt Dragon? We know it eats banthas. Should we just have the Krayt Dragon eat the bantha with the explosives attached to it and then blow it up from the inside? No. No. Yep. No. You think a better plan would be to bury explosives in the ground that the Krayt Dragon digs through and hope that we can get it to come out of the ground and lay on top of the explosives that we buried? Yep, that's the better plan. Okay, I've got a second bantha with explosives just in case this doesn't work. I mean, your plan, it could work. A lot of things have to go really, really right, though. But I'll just keep this explosive bantha over to the side just in case. You know, be prepared. So, the Crate Dragon is dead. Uh, Marshal Tim gives up his Boba Fett armor, and Mandalorian leaves with the Boba Fett armor. What is he going to do with it? I don't know. Hopefully not something dumb like there's a secret map to the Yodas in Boba Fett's old armor. So as Mandalorian is driving away, he passes some cloaked figures standing on a sand dune. And the cloaked figure turns around, and it's Temuera Morrison, the guy who played Jango Fett and all the clones. So that's probably Boba Fett. I mean, it could be any of the clones, really. But it's probably Boba Fett. Fine. Eh, you know, fine. So, overall, an enjoyable episode. I mean, I've spent, 15 minutes tearing it apart because I don't think it's very intelligent. I don't think it makes any sense. But there is a big dragon in it that moves through the ground like a graboid and barfs all over everybody. I think that's pretty great. So overall, I was pretty entertained for 49 minutes or however long the episode is. I wish my if you didn't see my reviews last year, my thoughts on Mandalorian season 1 it was solidly okay. I enjoyed it for the most part. I liked a lot about it. And it looks like season 2 so far is going to be more of the same. I hope it gets better. I I think it has the potential to be better, but it's kind of stupid. It doesn't make a lick of sense, but it's still kind of cool and visually interesting anyway. I don't really like the music so far. I don't like that. I don't know what instrument that is. It's the Mandalorian theme. It's some type of I don't know what the instrument is. It's like a big hollow tube you blow through. Um, Not really feeling that theme. Most of the music not really feeling, but as much as I say the show is kind of dumb and nonsensical, I still enjoy it for the most part. I was never bored. Um, I do roll my eyes a lot when they do something silly or nonsensical, or when they crowbar in Star Wars lingo, desperately trying to make sure the audience knows that this is Star Wars, which feels unnecessary when the show is on a service that you have to pay for specifically to watch the show. It it feels like you have the latitude to not do that. Again, we already paid. You've got us. We're here. Just make a good show. And if we never ever go back to Tatooine, I would be okay with that. Maybe there maybe there are only like 10 habitable planets in the entire Star Wars galaxy. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why they keep going to the same damn places all the time. Also, it's kind of weird that Tatooine as a planet appears to be like three cities. Isn't that kind of weird? How it's always kind of weird that this is the desert planet. The the entire thing is a desert, all the way around, top to bottom. Whole thing's a desert. It's not just one area on the planet. It's the whole thing. Oh, How about that? What about that planet? Oh, that's the lava planet. The whole thing. There's no different biomes. Naboo. It's this tropical tree and greenery. Both sides of the planet. Very, very lush and green and watery. Whole thing. Huh. Star Wars Galaxy is weird. Each planet is like one biome. Entire planet, one biome. The planets feel really small, you know? Tatooine Tatooine feels like Maricopa County in Arizona. It's like there's Phoenix and there's Tucson, and then you've got Goodyear and Buckeye and Gila Bend and Flagstaff's probably too far north for Maricopa, but you know. But then imagine Maricopa County was like the entire planet Earth. Be like, oh, that's a really that's the only thing is there on the entire planet. Just Maricopa County, huh? A couple cities and that's it. Weird. Freakill says, the original plan actually sounds better to me. Burying explosives to make a directional blast seems more likely to work than hoping that the dragon would swallow the bombs whole. Mm, no, I think my plan makes more sense because this is a very, very, very big crate dragon that is swallowing Bantha's whole. I mean, it's not like grabbing it and wrestling it to the ground and ripping chunks off. No, it's just swallowing the entire thing whole like grape. You know, like a like Monstro the whale swallowing sardines. Just gulps the entire thing up. So I'm going to disagree with you there. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, if it was a smaller, like if it was a like an anaconda that had to wrap itself around them and then slowly work its jaws over the yeah. But this is like the Godzilla of crate dragons. So also this we've seen a crate dragon skeleton in the original Star Wars movie. This monster doesn't appear to be from the same skeleton. Whatever. Oh, the Tusken Raiders have doggies, so that's pretty cool. You would think that people who actually live on Tatooine and have lived there their whole lives would pick up some of the damn Tusken Raider language. Mandalorian is fluent. Don't know where he picked it up. But he seems to be like the only non-Tusken Raider who speaks the language. No one else in the series so far, even Tatooine locals. I have a feeling that Obi-Wan Kenobi actually spoke a bit of Tusken Raider or Tusken. Yeah. Ah well. Tatooine was glassed thousands of years ago in universe. That's why it's a desert. Okay. I'm not sure what being glassed means, but I mean, if it was just Tatooine, that would be fine. But every planet that we go to in Star Wars, it feels like there's only one biome in the entire planet. Like this is well, it was a moon, but the forest moon of Endor. The entire thing's a forest. Here's the water planet. Oh, what's the in Attack of the Clones? It's like the water planet. Then we've got Mustafar, I think, is the lava planet, and we've got the desert planet of Tatooine. Hoth is the ice planet. It's not like we're going to the other side of Coruscant where it's snowy. There's never more than one biome on a planet, and there's apparently only like one interesting thing anywhere on any of these planets. I don't know really how to do that any other way. I I'm not sure how you would. make them feel like planets rather than maybe if they stopped going to Mos Eisley every time. I don't know. Maybe do planets only have like one interstellar spaceport? Like if you're coming in from outer space, there's only one airport you're landing at, and then you hop to. I don't know how the travel rules work in the Star Wars universe. Glassed equals nuked. Oh well, all right. Anchorhead, yeah, that's mentioned in the first Star Wars movie. I don't think we've been there, but we've been to Mos Eisley a million times, and we've been to Mos Espa and Mos whatever the one that in this episode, and they all look exactly the same. Bespin, City in the Clouds. Is there anything there on the entire planet, or is it just this one city in this one location on the entire planet? Because Bespin doesn't appear to be that big, you know? I, Mos Plago, some Palgo, yeah, something like that. I'm nitpicking it because it's fun to you know look at this stuff and say how does this work. Um, Freekill says one biome planet is a problem for so many sci-fi universes. It's true, but I mean we all remember Tatooine. You know, Tatooine, it's the desert planet. It's got the Sarlacc on it and the Krayt dragons and stuff. The wretched hive of scum and villainy. If Tatooine was like Earth and had a sand part and a forest part and a ocean part and a snowy mountain part and a forest part, it would just you may as well call it Earth 2. You know, I mean, how do you differentiate the planets and make them feel unique and get them to stick in fans' minds if they're so damn varied? I don't know. At least off the top of my head, maybe if I put some thought into it, I could figure it out. But I'm not going to. So, anyway, I found the first episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian enjoyable. It had a big dragon that we fought, and it barfed all over everything. I thought that was pretty great. So I'll definitely turn in. I will turn into episode 2. I don't know how I will podcast once I've transmorgified into a television episode, but no, I will be tuning into episode 2, and Baby Yoda didn't do anything except look cute. Sometimes it says Freakle. Sometimes I don't understand why they bother to mention that the whole planet is desert, jungle, lava, etc. If only one small place gets visited and then they move on to space and maybe another planet. It's like I know it's weird, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi, Boba Fett apparently. They're wandering out in Tatooine, but they're like 10 miles from town. I get the sense that they keep coming into town like every Thursday for supplies. They're not just roaming madly. You'd think if they really wanted to be not found, just head that way for several weeks and no one will ever find you. Samarin says flora and fauna architecture is essential to different planets. That's right. Although it'd be interesting. You think that you think that you start well, you do actually. You do see at least technological similarities existing in different places. Like I mean, the doors all seem to work pretty much the same. So, all right, I'm that's enough Star Wars rambling. Happy. I almost said Thanksgiving, but happy Halloween to everyone. Hope your day went swell. And if you want to keep celebrating, then join me at noon Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, and we'll play some Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That game has really good writing, I hear. So, all right, that's it out of me. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and I hope to see you tomorrow for some vampire fun. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.